Hi everyone, welcome to the virtual launch of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Instead of coming together at the state capitol as we've been doing for years, today we'll come together virtually
and hear from individuals about how they have found ways to be strong in the face of stress. And we'll talk about ways to get through this together and still make great childhoods happen. My name is Jade Woodard, and I'm the Executive Director of Illuminate Colorado. Our organization is dedicated to strengthening families, organizations, and communities to prevent child maltreatment. I want to thank the Colorado Department of Human Services for inviting me here today to help launch this important awareness month. This has been a time dedicated to reinforcing the role that each person plays in ensuring that children, families, and entire communities thrive. Right now, that message is even more critical. Before we talk more about what everyone can do to strengthen families, I want to take a moment to thank all the first responders, healthcare workers, grocery workers, childcare providers, and caseworkers still out there every day. Thank you. Last week, we, along with thousands across the country, began a month-long nationwide campaign, Everyone Can Make Great Childhoods Happen, especially you, especially now, to strengthen families during the COVID-19 public health crisis. Coloradans have been sharing videos, stories, and photos using hashtag Great Childhoods and hashtag DoingMyPartCO to inspire others to strengthen families right now and highlighting resources available to help you if you need support. Today, we're going to hear from several parents sharing their stories to inspire us all to do more. You know, this public health crisis reminds us all just how connected we all are and how much we depend on one another. In this unprecedented and ever-changing time, one thing is certain to ensure that our children, families, and communities thrive and recover from the economic impact as quickly as possible. We must all do our part to make great childhoods happen in every household and community in Colorado. Many people still may not know that healthy brain development is a building process that begins before we are born. When children experience toxic stress or child abuse and neglect, their brain is physically changed, requiring significant, costly support from communities to ensure that children can heal and grow up to become healthy, thriving adults who will also be our future neighbors, employees, and leaders of tomorrow. Weeks, months, years from now, we don't want to look back at this time and realize that we could have done more to support other parents and families in our neighborhoods. If not you, then who? As we all adjust to working from home, online school, physical distancing, and stay-at-home orders, it's critical that we continue to connect with one another and help parents stay strong during this difficult time. First, Governor Polis and the Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Human Services, Michelle Barnes, will share their thoughts on this important topic with all of us. Governor Polis?
I want to thank you for joining us online to kick off Child Abuse Prevention Month in Colorado. This is always a great time to reflect on what we're doing as a community to strengthen families and protect kids. Now, as we slow the spread of coronavirus, this work is even more important because as the situation changes, I want to remind everybody, but especially parents and caregivers, take care of yourself. Many families are experiencing stress, and I want to share some of the services and resources we have in Colorado that help. For our frontline workers in the state, we've been able to partner with advocacy groups, philanthropy groups, and providers to help provide childcare to our frontline workers. People caring for the community during this time have a huge weight, and I want to make sure we're moving creatively and quickly to help those who are worried about childcare. For people in Colorado who are experiencing abuse in a relationship, domestic violence programs are offering support services, including emergency housing assistance. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233. When you hear, read, or watch news about an outbreak of an infectious disease such as COVID-19, it's normal to feel anxious and stressed. I want you to know that there are support systems and resources available to help you maintain your own wellness during an infectious disease outbreak. Colorado Crisis Services is available 24/7 every day of the year, 844-493-8255. Support is available for you if you need help paying on an emergency basis for food. Contact your local county health department or Department of Human Services to apply for benefits. Finally, I want to encourage everyone to report your concerns about possible child abuse or neglect. We've seen a 50% drop in the calls to the hotline since schools have closed and physical distancing has been the norm. That doesn't mean child abuse is down. It means fewer people are making the call. And let us know if you have a concern. If you're concerned about the safety of a child, call 844-CO-4-KIDS. If there's an immediate threat, dial 911. At this time, we need one another more than ever before. Remember to take care of yourself, ask for help, check in on others, stay at home unless absolutely necessary, and wear a mask when you're out. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Polis.
Now we will hear from Michelle Barnes, Executive Director of CDHS, who has spent much of her career over the past 2 decades working with organizations that support youth and families in our communities. She even finds time to serve as a court-appointed special advocate for Colorado children. Thank you for all that you do to help strengthen families and prevent child abuse and neglect. Michelle?
Thank you, Jade. Today I'd like to recognize the staff from the Colorado Department of Human Services, County Human Services, and all of our community partners who've been working each and every day to ensure the health and safety of the families we serve. I personally thank you. It is an honor to be here today to acknowledge Child Abuse Prevention Month. As both a leader of CDHS and a court-appointed special advocate, helping parents get the support and services they need to be strong and raise healthy, happy children is my priority. This work is more important than ever today. As part of the effort to slow the spread of coronavirus, Colorado schools are currently closed. Mandatory reporters like teachers, school staff, and child care providers traditionally make up a significant percentage of callers to the Colorado Child Abuse and Neglect Hotline. But with schools closed and physical distancing in place across the state, calls to the hotline have dropped by half. That doesn't mean abuse and neglect have dropped by half, but the eyes on children have been reduced. That's why it's important for all Coloradans who may be concerned about a child's well-being, make the call to the hotline at 1-844-CO-4-KIDS. If not you, then who? So I've been a CASA volunteer for more than 10 years, advocating for young people who are in foster care. Kids in foster care can experience social isolation all the time, not just during COVID-19. New schools, new foster homes, and new people. Imagine how your life pivoted in the last weeks, and you get a glimpse into the life of a foster child every day. As a CASA, one of your most important jobs is to listen and be present. That's my job as a CASA and as a leader of CDHS, to be here for children and families. We need to be there for one another and think creatively about how to do that. This is especially important for parents and caregivers. During this time, many families are feeling intense pressure. There is much more that all Coloradans can and must do to support families. We need everybody to think about how they can help. Maybe it's making dinner for your family and another family nearby who may need some extra kindness. Or sharing that extra roll of toilet paper and some groceries you stocked up on with a neighbor living paycheck to paycheck. Or maybe it's just being there for someone who needs to talk, by phone or internet, of course. Research has shown that isolation or limited social connections for parents are risk factors that can result in higher rates of child abuse and neglect. During this time of physical distancing, social connections are more important than ever, particularly for helping build or maintain parental resilience. Parents must take care of themselves so they can take care of their children. I'd like to share a few words for parents and families during this time of physical distancing. Remember that everyone in your family is having to adjust, and this is hard. Give yourself some grace. Take care of yourself so you can remain strong. It can be as simple as making time for a shower or to write in your journal. And remember to have some fun. Game night, family dinners, telling old stories again, walks outside. This can help reduce stressors and keep your family connected. And nurture your caring friendships. Call someone you haven't seen for a while. Ask them how they are doing, and then just listen. Strong families are critical to raising safe and healthy children. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for your passion and your suggestions. As a parent myself, I really appreciate all of those ideas. Next, we will hear from parents and members of our community who will share their own unique perspective on social connections and finding resilience.
Makita Koto is a former foster child who found support from a colleague when she needed it most. Makita?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Makita Koto, and I'm honored to be here today to share a story about an amazing woman who had an impact on my life as a mom in many big ways. Being resilient as a parent means taking the time to care for yourself, but also to know when to ask for help. I met Tina when I was 19 years old, fresh out of foster care with a 6-month-old, starting my first adult job. On my first day of work, she was one of the very first people to walk up and introduce herself to me. She asked many questions to get to know me and made me feel like I was a part of the team. Shortly after getting to know Tina, I got pregnant a second time. So imagine being 19 years old with a 6-month-old at home and having to tell your boss that you're pregnant. I was the youngest in the office by far and felt like I didn't fit in and felt like I was being judged. And so when I told Tina that I was pregnant, she looked at me and she smiled and she said, "When are you due?" Ironically, I was due on Tina's birthday. Tina always embraced me for exactly who I was. No judgment at all. And that helped us grow extremely close. Throughout the summer months of my pregnancy, as I got bigger and more uncomfortable and more frustrated, at least 3 times a week, she would take the walk down the street to 7-Eleven to buy me a Slurpee, just because she knew that would help calm my nerves. On the days that I didn't have much money, Tina would make sure and bring extra food so that I would eat. And when I didn't have a working car, she would drive me home so I wasn't out on the bus in the dark and in the cold alone. My daughter, Maya, was born on September 16th, 4 days before Tina's birthday. And if there was anyone on the planet who resembles Tina, it is my daughter, Maya. One day I commented about a coat that Tina was wearing and how I thought it was cute. 2 days later, she showed up to work with that coat and said, "Here, I have too many coats. This one belongs to you." She didn't do it because I couldn't buy one or I didn't have one. She just did it because that's who she is. Tina remains a consistent part of both my life and my children's lives. She listens to me vent about how hard it is to be a mom, or gives me great advice, and always gives me a different perspective. But mostly she tells me that I'm doing a great job. A few weeks ago, I called Tina to vent because raising teenage boys is so hard. I was just having one of those moments where I felt as though I could not get through to him. She listened patiently, asked a couple questions, and then said, "Tell Mikhail to be ready at 3:45. We're going to go to dinner." I don't know what they talked about, but whatever it was, he came home a different kid. Tina picks my kids up from basketball practice. She supports them at their games. She lifts them up when they're excelling, but is always quick to tell them when they're wrong. Most importantly, she loves them like they're her own. I have been blessed to have many people support me throughout this journey as a mom, and I'm so thankful that I had someone like Tina to help me along the way. I hope that I am too able to provide the same support to others that Tina has provided to me.
Thank you so much, Makita, for sharing. What a beautiful story of really what it means to support another person in parenting. So thank you so much for sharing.
Now, Sharon Ferry will share with us her experience in the trials and triumphs of adoption and how the goodness of others and true social connections help her family get to where they are today.
My name is Sharon Ferry, and today I'm happy to share my story about how asking for and accepting help, having a strong social support system, and working to build resilience as a parent has helped me to face and conquer stressful parenting challenges. 6 years ago, we adopted our daughter through the foster care system when we had 2 little ones at home and a newborn on the way. We knew this little girl needed us despite the challenges that might lie ahead. Our daughter was 5 at the time, and we knew that the trauma that she had experienced would likely stay with her for a lifetime, but we were up to help her overcome anything and give her a safe family that she could call her own. 6 months after adoption, we realized that our daughter needed more support and we needed more help as parents. Despite my background in child development and trauma-informed training, I wasn't prepared. My husband and I knew we needed to step up for all the kids in our home, but we didn't know what to do. We were at our wits' end. And that's when we found true saints, Sam and Sherry Campbell, good friends of ours now. They'd lived through a similar journey and now poured their hearts, their home, their finances, and their prayers into a ministry to provide respite to families like ours. The first time we met them, I literally felt like a person had been lifted from my shoulders. Someone understood, someone listened. The Campbells showed us that we weren't alone, that there was hope. They would take our messy kid, our messy family, our messy life, and love us all anyway, because they had lived in these trenches themselves. Parenting was tough, but my husband and I remained committed to each other, to our kids, and to our faith, even though it seemed and felt impossible at times. We did a lot of work to stay strong, but I now know for certain that we wouldn't have made it without the Campbells. We want to be like the Campbells when we grow up. My hope would be for every family to find their own Campbells. It means so much to know that someone who really gets it is just a text away. And that someone will be there for you when you need to drop your kid off covered in their own mess, literally, and your mess, figuratively, because you just can't take it for another minute. Just having someone say it's okay to take a breather can breathe new life into you. The Campbells' presence in our lives has helped us to feel good about ourselves as parents, to plan for other parenting challenges on the way, and to unapologetically take time to really enjoy our family and all that we love about parenting. Social support and families having someone to call is more vital now than ever. I realize how blessed and fortunate we are to have found these friends. And despite the challenges, we would not change anything about this journey, with the exception of taking the trauma away. But even then, we've learned to embrace and recognize the strengths and resiliency that trauma has produced. And this little child, not so little anymore, is so full of grit and grace that it would be hard to fathom her being any other way than the beautiful way she was then and now.
Thank you so much, Sharon. What a beautiful story. My family was lucky enough to find our Campbells, and I can attest the meaning of having someone that's there for you all the time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jade.
Next, I would like to introduce Adrian Nunez and Adam Combs, both dads and veterans who saw the need for support for dads like them. Adrian?
Hi, everybody. My name is Adrian Nunez. I'm a father of two daughters. My oldest daughter is Isabella, and she's 10 years old. And my youngest daughter is Leora, and she's 21 months old. As a dad, I was always looking for ways to ensure my kids and I have resources we need to get us through the good times and the bad. And this to me is parental resilience. I've come to realize that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. My children and I learn together most times, and I just try to make sure that I maintain a positive attitude when dealing with stressors and tough times. I make sure that they always know that I have their back, whether I'm going through something or it's them going through something. I try to express to them the best way I can that it's okay to ask for help and that they should never be ashamed for needing it. By establishing a routine, we are creating stability in our family. Our routines keep us on track and make sure that we get everything done that we need to. However, when things don't go accordingly, we can get off track, but I make sure my girls know that that's also okay. It's in these moments of chaos and being unprepared that we often learn the most about ourselves and grow stronger in resiliency. I served in the United States Army as a combat engineer who specialized in counter IED, mine warfare, and route reconnaissance and clearance. I served for 8 years and completed 3 combat tours to Iraq for a total of 40 months. I was injured in combat and suffered multiple head injuries. Upon returning from my last deployment, I was selected to be an Army recruiter by the Department of the Army, but unfortunately I was diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder and major depression disorder, along with traumatic brain injuries. I was experiencing a lot of issues readjusting to society, and over the years created many unhealthy behaviors. I was eventually granted a medical retirement from the Army. I was completely unprepared for my transition, and during this time I also went through a divorce and struggled with substance abuse. In the military, and where and how I grew up in an old school Hispanic family, men were taught to basically never show vulnerability. It was extremely hard for me to ask for help, especially upon exiting the military. I was emotionally numb most years and never showed an ounce of vulnerability. I really struggled with forming healthy and loving connections and relationships. And the last thing that I wanted to do was ask for help. I was completely ashamed and had a lot of guilt and bitterness that I was dealing with. Adam and I met through Operation TBI Freedom about a year ago. Operation TBI Freedom is a program of Craig Hospital that supports veterans with traumatic brain injuries and provides assistance with just about anything you can think of for the veterans and their families. They also have a combat-led peer support group that is open to any combat veteran and or their caregivers. And I've been a client with them now, which I'm now alumni of Operation TBI Freedom since 2013. And when the program first started, we were about 10 veterans deep, which now we're well over 100 members. Both Adam and I benefited a lot from this peer support group, and we both wanted to do something special and unique for the community, like starting our own support group. We both felt that there was a need for a group that addressed specific needs of dads who are also veterans. And with the help of the Veterans Trauma Court, Adam and I created a veteran support group that we called for fathers that we called Fathers of Freedom. And our mission is to provide a safe place for veterans in the community to meet and to help lift each other up, be valuable listeners, and to educate each other in successful parenting strategies and resources to encourage positive child development and healthy families.
Thank you, Adrian. Adam, would you share your story?
For me, I was in the military. I was in the Air Force for 6.5 years. I was an aircraft mechanic on the A-10 Warthog. I did a trip to tour to Kandahar, Afghanistan. I was also stationed in Turkey for about a year and a half. That was probably the best decision I ever made, was joining the military. I can't, just the brotherhood that you get out of that is something is talked about in movies and whatnot, but it's something you can't experience any other time. Certainly the same kind of brotherhood that I feel with Adrian joining this group, right? So the reason for me, my vision for a Circle of Parents group and something to broaden out even further later on, the reason that I wanted to join something like this and start something like this is because essentially there's just not as many resources out there for fathers as there are for mothers when it comes to parenting or child rearing. And even the ones that are offered for both parents, they're overwhelmingly female dominated. I'm sure a lot of you all know that already. So it's harder for us to engage in those kind of settings. Also, we haven't been really taught to be vulnerable, in those kinds of settings. Our fathers were raised the way they were by their fathers and their fathers, and this is what we know, right? When it comes to like the isolation that occurs active duty and any kind of PTSD with parenting, I think my buddy Adrian really just hit the nail on the head. And I'm not going to sit around here and beat the dead horse, but I will agree that it can be very hard. When you're spending all of your energy dealing with or avoiding your own stuff, you're not emotionally available to be there for your children and your family. And this is the kind of help that you need. So, with regards to getting the counseling that you might need through the VA, through the vet center, through other support groups, this can be the Circle of Parents Veterans Fathers group can be another support group for you to get the kind of help you need in another aspect of your life, right? When it comes to child rearing, for me, it really is. I want it to be a safe place for men to be vulnerable and to learn how to engage as parents. I also want it to be a place for them to overcome, the problem of men who want to be dads, but really just maybe don't know how to and don't know how to ask for help for that. So we're hoping, Adrian and I are hoping that this can be another outlet for men to be able to talk about those kinds of things and open up more and to be able to connect, really, to bring that connection together and build parenting confidence and resilience through fathers that are veterans, and hopefully to broaden out with just all fathers in general. But we want to start with our niche group of veteran fathers because that's what we understand the most right now. Essentially, we just really want to build awareness and understanding, something that we feel is lacking in the upbringing of boys and the education of fathers, and that's really it.
Well, I will say you both truly brought tears to my eyes. I think that the experiences you've shared are all true, real for so many men and so many veterans right now. And so thank you so much for bringing the vulnerability here today and opening up. It really means a lot. And I think it's important for the other fathers out there to hear these words. Before they come back, would you both just be willing to share for me for a minute, like your greatest hope for your group, and just like 1 or 2 sentences, like what is your greatest hope for this group?
For dads and for fathers to play with their kids, for dads to be fathers. I think anyone can be a dad. That goes saying anyone can be a mom. Anyone can pop out a kid and pay child support, right? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and love and dedication on your own part to be a father and to be a mother, and to strive to do the best you can for your kid every day, not just go through the motions and give them Maslow's lowest hierarchy of needs, So for me, it would be turning dads into fathers.
I just really want to have a place for, for fathers, for guys that are, whatever it is they're going through, whether they're struggling or, to share successes, to just come together and to just help each other out, to just create some really meaningful relationships and connections, and not be afraid to be vulnerable, to ask each other for help, and to kind of just share their experience with each other.
Thank you both so much. Thank you again to Governor Polis, Michelle Barnes, and everyone at CDHS for inviting me here today to help launch National Child Abuse Prevention Month. It has been my honor. And of course, thank you to all the Coloradans who joined us here today. Thank you to the thousands of caseworkers, childcare providers, and first responders who are still out there every day, as well as the home visitors and other professionals working remotely to keep families strong and kids safe during this crisis. And my most heartfelt thanks to Makita, Sharon, Adam, and Adrian. You are inspiring. Throughout the month of April, we're asking people in Colorado to strengthen families right now. Continue to share your inspirational stories, photos, and videos. Head over to www.copinwheelsforprevention.org to find inspiration from what other Coloradans are doing to strengthen families right now. Learn how you can prevent child maltreatment and help make great childhoods happen at home and in your community today. And for more information on the signs of child abuse and neglect and how you can report your concerns, visit coforkids.org. Thank you.